Greetings. I saw this video on YouTube in which scientists of quantum physics there was this scientist who was talking about a recent book he had published, very interesting work, and I was impressed during the watch of the video by a key word, the arrow of time. In the video, the man said that we see that time seems to go forward into the future, but according to mathematical calculations, if I'm not mistaken, there is absolutely no evidence to prove wrong the fact that we can see the arrow of time going backwards. Now, I'm no expert in physics or mathematics, but it led me to thinking and writing. So here's a writing. The arrow of time. In physics, scientists use the term arrow or vector to indicate the direction followed. In physics, scientists know the direction of time, always forward into the future. I think that the many names we use and the many terms we use from science standpoint lead the general masses to a bit of confusion, since not everyone is an expert, right? Personally, I have to make connections the whole time, because you have to explain these technical terms you find in news, otherwise it's just a bunch of words. Too much of something is not good. And physicists have asked, why don't we see things in rewind? Why didn't I see that train go backwards in time? There is no math equation that denies the fact that we could see the arrow backwards, but how do they know this particular question? I believe the answer is quite easy. We know the material world is made of pairs of opposites, so we might not look at things going in rewind, but the fact that we ask such a question, we know something that is difficult to explain in numbers or words. Meaning that there's a feeling. But there is an answer to this question. I believe it is called memory. Human remembrance of events and phenomena. So the arrow of time is just a concept, a name to make things easier for scientists to calculate, a sort of an agreement in order to prosper together in the field of science. The writing continues. But if you let go of the term and ask yourself the question, what is time? I think things will be easier. Time is divided in past, present, future. Was, is, will be. But since we have created this division after our memory as a species improved, and in this writing is no longer relevant. Time, that is past, present, future, are all contained in all events that happen in our everyday living. So, time is everything that has happened until now and everything that will happen happens now. How and why is this related to the question, why don't we see ourselves moving backwards? We are getting back to the first question scientists of quantum physics have asked. The confusion arises when we put a direction to everything. Emo minha mamã. Emo minha mamã. The confusion arises when we put a direction to everything, because then you'll have to explain all the factors according to that direction. And the opposite directions become hard to explain, almost impossible to see them. But if we as human beings have this high memory and can recall events, that means the arrow of time has no direction in the first place. We go back in our minds and physically, even though it's today, we think of 1 year before. Just an example to illustrate the power of memory and the fact that we are powerful. Because memory is in the pen. I remember letters, numbers, I remember the English language, and so on. So there is no arrow of time, and all time is contained in every moment of our living. And no matter if you remember of past events or have a project of the future, the present is that you are thinking. I thought of it this way. If I'm standing right here and a memory comes up from childhood 10 years ago, that is a journey in itself, sort of. How can I... So if I'm standing here and I'm thinking about 10 years ago, that means I've gone back 10 years ago, stood there in that memory, saw the memory, listened to the memory, and then I came back again. So the arrow of time went backwards and then went forward again. This is how I understand memory. The fact that we have this highly advanced memory is because all of the experiences we have gathered that make us of the today. And very simply, maybe there is no arrow of time, maybe there is no such thing as time as we know it, past, present, future. Because past, present, future is contained in the now, which is a continuous growth and moving. It isn't easy because here where it becomes a bit of a problem, because not many people were interested in physics or chemistry because, I don't know, for some reason their teachers weren't making the subject interesting enough, or they were hard heads, didn't explain it simple to them, and there are many reasons, but no one is to blame for this. And if you have such questions, such as coming from subjects of physics, of math, of chemistry, look at yourself. The whole structure, a human being form. Because all the answers are contained, all the answers are housed in this body. And That's how I answered this question. What about the arrow of time? Memory. If we can go back and recall past events and come back again in memory, of course, that means that even physically we are able to do this. Thank you everyone who listened to this video until the end, and everyone who didn't, thank you anyways. Have a good one.